Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckinaround Kickstarter Edition. Today we're going to be taking a look at any decks that have funded in the past 7 days, any decks that are funding in the upcoming 7 days, and any new decks that launched on Kickstarter in the past week. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Don't forget to ring the bell.
Sal, you excited for taking a look at some Kickstarter today, Steve?
I am. Last week was a slow week, so it looked like there's a lot more this week, so it'll be good to see what's up there.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we actually see some well thought out, nice designs and nice campaigns that really push a deck well. So,
yeah,
fingers crossed, right? Let's check it out. So first off, before we jump too far into it, congratulations to the Eclipse Originals playing cards on funding. Congrats to Ban Xuan playing cards. Congrats to Contagion playing cards. The cardistry
Contagion
game,
or Contagion?
Contagion?
Is it?
I think it's Contagion.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, now we'll have to check out the Google pronunciation after this.
Yeah.
I think it's Contagion because it's like contagious.
Yeah. Or pathogen, contagion. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably Contagion. Yeah.
Congratulations to the cardistry game.
I back that.
I'm glad, dude. That was an awesome one. I reached out to Biz the other day and I let him know, I think it's awesome what he's doing. He said they have a lot of stuff in the works, so I'm excited to see what they bring to the table with that.
Nice.
And congratulations to Low Poly Sharks playing cards for funding. I have to say, and I want to give kind of an extra special shout out here because I've never seen someone hustle so hard to fight for their campaign to get funded. I think a lot of campaigns out there, they hit a mark where they're like, oh, we're never going to get funded, and they give up. That is not what Unrivaled Decks did, so congratulations to them for funding and for really hustling to make sure that their deck did get funded.
Right.
Congratulations to... Oh, no, this is all on what's ending this week, so there we go. So ending in the next 7 days, we have the Gold playing card deck. We have the Minimal playing card deck. The Windrose playing cards. The Peak playing cards. The Testament playing cards. The Custom Faced playing cards. The Paleo playing cards. And the Biome V1 playing cards. So let's see what we got on the table this week. First up is these King Arthur playing cards from Riffle Shuffle, which...
We already know it's going to be a flawless campaign.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. They've been up for a day. It's actually interesting. It's a 20-day campaign instead of a 30 or a 25 or a 14. They're already almost 5 times their goal. Again, no surprise there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think they need to do that many days. I think 15, 20 days is more than enough for them. They always hit it in the first, second day anyway, so.
And it's funny too, because I think we've had a lot more discussions recently with designers who are on Kickstarter and how they want to get off of Kickstarter just because of some of the negatives of being on Kickstarter. Whereas Riffle Shuffle just seems to thrive on Kickstarter. Like, they could hands down do these decks as, self-funded, throw them up on their site and crush it, but they really do enjoy the Kickstarter side of things.
Yeah, I mean, they make a killing on Kickstarter.
They really do.
Yeah.
And it's a good looking deck. I have to say, I think of blue instead of the green would have looked better. But again, that's personal preference versus anything against the deck. I think the design is absolutely phenomenal. The red and green, though, to me seems very Christmassy, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, we're never going to get away from red and green being Christmassy.
Without a doubt. And but I love the detail inside of the tux. I know a couple people who are going to absolutely love this fact here because this is just gorgeous.
Yeah, I think a lot more companies are going to be creating some detailed stuff on the inside of tux for that reason.
Yeah.
Where before it might have been just like a cool design, I think they're going to think twice about it now and really try to create some beautiful artwork on the inside as well for those people who invert the tux.
I think it makes sense because it really, otherwise it's just wasted space. You have it, and a lot of times, there's probably details that they leave off that they wanted to put on the tuck but didn't know where. Why not put it on the inside? The one
Here's
thing that
my only problem with this deck, and actually I had the same problem with the Sirocco deck, is when you look at the back design, there's just not enough contrast in there for me. I think it's just, I lose it. Like, just looking at that, it's really hard to see what it is. Like, obviously, I can see King Arthur, I can see the horse, but like, you really have to look at it. I think they just need to add more color in there to like kind of make that figure pop. You know, I think it's really cool artwork, but you really lose a lot of it.
I absolutely agree, and I think one of the interesting things about it is that there's going to be, so I think there was a discussion of the backs being gold metallic ink. Yeah, so the gold metallic ink, to me, one of the things I was just mentioning, I know to you, was that when we looked at the gold metallic ink from the Peelers V3 from Organic Playing Cards, it was a much different gold than what we see here in these renders. I'm curious if we're going to see a pretty big contrast between the final color and the color that's presented in these renders. That being said, even if they do bring it to the table and manage to pull off this color, I 100% agree with you. They could have put more color to make the design pop more, because it really does just kind of fall flat. And I think, you know, having this much gold and such little color makes the gold not as, like, special.
Yeah. Yeah, it just loses it for me, you know?
Yeah. That being said, I think the actual artwork itself is amazingly detailed and beautiful. Like, I'm shocked at how awesome this back design looks, but I think, yeah, the lack of contrast. Yeah, the lack of contrast makes it tough. So, nice little touches in the pips.
Rendering colors is always going to be a little off from the final print, obviously. So, I mean, if it's gold metallic, I'm sure it would be gold metallic. You know, and the court cards are kind of weird to me. You know, I back this this campaign, but yeah, the court cards are really off a little bit. They look kind of like, I think, a little old, and I don't know if that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
But they look kind of like old or mad or like grumpy kind of, don't they?
They do have, like, especially the clubs, they have like their expressions are very aggressive.
Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, it's just I guess my taste. It just comes off as weird.
I do like the Ace of Spades, though. I think they're very ornate. But what I think is interesting, too, is if you look at a lot of the green they used internally, it's more of like a teal, whereas the exterior is really like a neat, and I won't say neon green. It's not neon, but it's a very bright green. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's a very riffle shuffle deck. I like the fact that they called the Jokers Jesters. I think it's kind of period correct. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that spin.
Can't wait to see the half break box. I'm sure they'll crush that one. I'm actually really curious about this Golden Knight foiled edition, and I think that's where this deck could shine, because if it ends up being that all of the gold metallic we see on the backs becomes gold foil, actually you'll probably lose even more detail to it, but I think it'll make them a lot more eye-catching. I don't know if it'll necessarily be good, but it'll be more eye-catching.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I just think it's just, I lose the back design. You really can't see it for me.
Yeah, and I think being such a beautiful back design, it is a bit of a shame there. But that being said, again, you know, $14 a deck, $19 shipped, with metallic ink on it is more than reasonable. Single set, 16 each shipped. Like, Riffle Shuffle is, you know, Kevin Yu likes to go by the name The Card Mafia, and it's no joke. This dude knows how to run a campaign start to finish. He knows everything about it, and he's phenomenal at it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I love the way Kevin does business.
Absolutely.
He does it right, and you know, wants to get cards in the hands of the community, which is cool.
Yeah. So if King Arthur is your thing, this is definitely a deck to back. Studio Moody did a phenomenal job on the artwork. But yeah, again, that contrast, I hands down agree with you there, Steve. I think that contrast makes the back design a little bit tough.
Yeah, it's just muddy. You can kind of lose everything.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the Shiba Sagaya playing cards. So this is actually a relaunch and a bit of a redesign on a deck that we had seen launched previously, which I know you and I both liked on the first launch, and there were a couple things that just needed to be tweaked to make it production ready, we'll call it. And I think a lot of those things have been touched on here. You know, originally this was a monochromatic deck. They've actually added in red for the pips and a little bit into the design as well, just to make it stand out more. But everything that I think I loved about this deck originally is still there and preserved in a way that it works awesomely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that adding that that color just totally made 100% difference. I would have liked to have seen those little like red bows on the back design as well, just to throw a little color in there,
Yeah.
just to break up that back design a little bit more. But I think they did a really good job, and obviously the funding on it so far shows that people enjoy it more than the first one.
Absolutely, and I think it's good because the deck had so much potential, and it's always nice to see when I like the fact that they're doing a half brick box, but it's always nice to see when like a deck that doesn't fund first time around comes back to the table with something where they've made changes and they've really taken the community feedback and they've run with it.
USPCC, right?
Yeah, it's 15 shipped, which is spot on. I mean, $15 shipped.
That's good.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with that. Yeah, I think they did a really great job with this relaunch. USPCC printed, gamblers fulfilled. Like, they put the details into it. They've really done a lot of thought went back into this. So I'm excited to see that they're getting good traction. And yeah, I think they're already just about 50% funded in a day. So hopefully that momentum keeps up.
Yeah, I definitely see them funding for sure.
Yeah, which I hope so, because I think, we even discussed it in the first one. This is a cool looking deck. There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the Schism playing cards. All right. So I have to say, this is probably one of the artsier decks I think that we've seen, like, since, like, maybe some of, like, the Pollock decks. Which, again, I think are, obviously, Jackson Pollock being a very well-known artist. This is an interesting take on a very artistic-looking deck to me.
Right.
All things considered, I don't know if the design is necessarily my style, just because I'm not really, like, a face in art kind of person.
Right.
It kind of, like, the face reminds me a little bit of, like, the Scream, which I wish I could remember who the artist is, but you know that painting I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be Dolly, but I don't remember.
It's not my style. It's definitely, USPCC, which is good. Limited to 1,000 decks. What's it? How much does it cost?
Price point is 17 shipped, so it's actually one of the less expensive standard decks we've seen recently. I think so. $12 plus 5 shipping. It's not bad. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Standard courts with a little bit of tweak. Sure. Yeah, standard. See, now that's interesting.
What is
that?
That
might actually. It's a Jack of Spades holding a black fontaine. Now, curiosity for me there is, was there licensing there, or is this just kind of a shot in the dark in hopes that this doesn't cause issues? But I think from a legal perspective, if there hasn't been any sort of agreement there, that's something to cover real quick, because that could get you in some trouble. And again, not legal advice, just kind of some common sense in building out a campaign there, is you don't want to use any sort of, like, potentially trademarked content in yours without permission. Very well may be that they've gotten permission there, and if so, awesome. But definitely check that out first.
I mean, I think it's kind of weird that you would use another brand's deck, but that's just me.
Yeah, and maybe there's something to the story, and if that's the case, that's one of those things that it's worthwhile to put in here so you can explain your story. See, now that's interesting too. Like, on the Joker, it gets lost, but it actually says Schism in there, which is more noticeable on the tuck with the black or the red background. Shows the back design, a relatively standard looking tuck. So the one thing I will say is I think a lot more information could have gone in here into the...
I don't know who's fulfilling it, do I?
I did not see fulfillment. Oh no, Gambler's Warehouse. The one thing I will say there, while I think it's good that they mentioned it, I know Gamblers gives, like, a press assets pack, so you can put their images in. A lot of times people don't read. It's great to put in images so that people see it as well as read. Something to consider. I think it's great that it was in there, but you might as well make it as easy as possible on people. I think the other cool thing about this deck is the super early bird was basically 12 decks at cost. So If you got
Yeah.
the super early bird, it was 55 euros for a brick. 20 people picked that up. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. How much is that?
So, 55 euros,
Is how much? About what?
63 US.
Yeah, I mean that's cheap.
Yeah, you're basically paying like a little more than cost, but still not by much. Like,
What's
and yeah, and I'm glad to see the 20 went quick. So,
Yeah.
the only thing I would say is like tell a little bit more of a story, because again, like the Fontaine being in there, like there may be a great backstory to it, but we don't know what it is.
Right.
It'd be real cool to find out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I like I like that they gave the story as to where the idea behind the back design came from. I always think that you just have to tell a story when you build these campaigns out, so that you're really making sure that people are kind of being brought into the process. They're really feeling why you created this deck. Not like, oh, hey, I wanted to create a deck of cards and I thought this looked cool, so I slapped it on the back and here you go. You know, they want to feel like they're part of the process, and I think part of Kickstarter is feeling like you're part of that process. So making sure you tie into that like they did here is spot on. And it looks like, it's
a good campaign. You know, if that's your style, then definitely go for it.
Yeah, and I think even off early bird, 17 shipped is more than reasonable based on some of the prices we've seen recently. About halfway through the campaign, 2 days in, like they've definitely got good momentum. So good luck, keep it up. Next up, we have Ape playing cards. All right, so
Ash.
Yep, this is from Ash Marlowe, who's a magician and really nice guy, really active in the community.
Yeah, super cool guy. I think I'm a big fan of the deck. It's super simple casino style. Printed by Cotamundi. My only thing here was the cost. I think this is what's going to hurt him.
Yeah, because 24 shipped for a single deck is pretty pricey for what's a standard deck. And I'm wondering how much of that may be fulfillment. Yeah, because you're looking at almost $8 shipped.
Which is fine. That just tells how much is the deck normally? $16.
16, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's expensive.
But so then, what's the retail going to be on that too? Is the other thing to think about, I
mean, I'm thinking it's going to be $16.
Yeah, and I think
one of the saving. Yeah. Who's fulfilling it?
So that is something I haven't.
I think it's him. Is it? I think it's him fulfilling it. Maybe.
Yeah, and we've said it a lot in the past. If you are going to self-fulfill, nothing wrong with that, but definitely.
I think it says he's going to.
Does it?
Have a company or something in there. I thought I read it. I don't know if you can see it, but.
It does mention like we have set the delivery date as November, but again, that could be just from the campaign point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool deck. I think again, it's just a little bit pricey for what it is, and I think that's why it's struggling on backing wise.
Yeah. See, and I like the slight off coloring of the quartz here too. Like I think a lot of good thought went into this. I think it's a solid deck.
I like that Ace of Spades. It's really cool.
Yeah, like I think the deck as a whole would do great. It just needs that price point needs to be shifted a little bit. Again, hopefully
it should be $4 cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, self-fulfilling out of the UK, granted it's not going to be cheap worldwide, like $20, fine. It's not ideal still, but it's going in the direction that a lot of decks are going now. So it's a little more in line. That 24 points tough. Ultimately, I think, and this is one of those things where it's like, self-fulfillment, definitely, it's a lot of work, but if you're willing to handle it, it's not that big of a deal. Right. But that's where, if you're not in the US and a lot of your backers in the US, that's where you eat shipping. And, like, dealing with someone like Gamblers sometimes makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah, they also get better pricing is because of the amount that they ship.
So, ultimately, like, I'm excited to see this deck come to fruition. Hopefully it funds. But if for whatever reason, and again, there's 35 days, so a lot could happen in that time. It's got pretty good momentum at the first half.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fund for whatever reason, though, I think the one thing to consider, like we said, is the shipped price point. Otherwise, deck looks good, information's there, well done. I like the design. I love the little gorilla eyes on the inner tuck flap. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see it around $12 tops.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Good luck, Ash.
shipping, not including shipping, obviously.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for a relatively standard deck, and especially a Magician's Workers deck is really, I kind of think the idea behind it was. Right, so next up we have the Form Mark 1 playing cards. As much as this design is, like, relatively simple, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So this is actually from Formation Cardistry.
With the...
Yeah, with the fan. Like, I think that fan looks gorgeous.
It reminds me of like a Atari game or something, like a game or some sort.
Yeah, I definitely can see that.
The faces are creative. Those pips look tiny.
Yeah, the pips. The indices do look really tiny. I like the two-tone, but we've seen that before with, like, that's kind of an art of play style go-to there. But that's a vibrant tuck too. Like, this deck kind of speaks to me, all things considered. I think it's nice, but, like, I think, again, another thing though, I don't see fulfillment.
Yeah, these campaigns need to stop putting that information in there.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, I know this was a... Oh, here we go, hold on. Okay, self-fulfilled. Alright. Outside the US, but will cost more. Okay, so... At least it's in there. Make it a little bit bigger. Let's see. Standard price. Ah, oh, damn. See, in this, $30 ship. This is not an $18 deck in my book. Like,
guys, crazy guys.
It's and listen, I think it's a good looking deck. As a $10 to $13 deck, this thing would absolutely crush. It's dope looking. The colors are vibrant. It's bright. It would look great in cardistry, and that's what this is really meant to be, as a cardistry deck. $18 is more than the last round of Verts cost. Like, you gotta take that into perspective and read the market, because that's definitely where this is gonna get hurt. And I would love to see this deck.
How much does it back so far?
1,000 out of just under 4. Yeah. Could hit that mark, but that's a tough one, man. Like,
that's a lot of money. These like campaign creators need to really like pay attention to. Now, it's great if they just want their campaign to fund and they're just making a deck and that's all they're making. Like, cool. But like, look at some of these other campaigns that are making 20, 30, 40 grand and seeing what they're doing. You know, they're not having a deck that's $30 shipped. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at the Riffle Shuffle we just looked at earlier in this campaign with metallic ink in it and potentially foil. The thing was half the price.
Yeah. It's out of control, and that's why it's struggling.
And that's a bummer, because again, I like this deck. Yeah, no, without a doubt, good luck to him on it. And honestly, like, at $1,000 in with 26 days to go, it very well could fund.
Wait, isn't there another deck called Form from Dealer's Grip? Didn't Dealer's Grip do a deck called Form?
Could be.
Let me see. Might be Form.
Which, like, again, like, I like this deck. If it wasn't $30 to my door, I surely would have backed it. Which is a bit of a bummer, because even the early bird at $14, like, that should have been the price point. $14 should have been your price point.
Yeah,
and I would have.
It's called Form. Look it up. It's called dealersgrip.com/store/form.
Okay.
It doesn't look anything like it, but it's kind of similar colors, which is interesting. You can do it right on the screen so we can see it.
Dealersgrip.com/store/form. Okay, I remember this deck. Yeah, I mean, the name and the deck, I think, they can distinguish themselves, thankfully. But again, interesting price point
Oh,
here.
of course. I mean, they obviously don't look, but
Yeah.
but look. All right, so this is what we could do. We could do Delos Grip, which is a very like well-known deck. It's a very well-known company.
$15.
They have a deck called Form, and it's similar colors, and it's $15 price point.
Yeah. Yeah, you really gotta read the market on these. I mean, I hate to say it, like, I'm wondering how much of this is trying to balance shipping by putting some into the price, but like,
Not how you do it.
no,
If you're having such a problem with shipping, like look into it. You can go.
There are a lot of fulfillment companies
through Gambler's Warehouse in America, in the U.S., and they can ship out for $5 each, and that will save you a ton of money.
Dude, honestly, yeah, because like I like this deck, especially in comparison to their previous deck. I like this deck a lot more. I'd love to see this thing go, but like, and the goal is like really low. Like you could have raised your goal more to factor shipping into it, and then kind of reduce the price point a little bit, and it would have probably made more sense. But this is like it's tough. So I wish you guys luck on it. I like the deck.
One thing, some things that like need to really be thought about for these campaigns is like Murphy's Magic, for instance. If you have a deck that's somewhat good looking and that you think they'll pick up, reach out to Murphy's and say, is this something that you'd be interested in? Maybe they'll buy 144 decks right off the bat, right off your campaign. And if it's not off your campaign, like all you have to do is sell however much it costs for 1,000 decks, and then Murphy's will pick up 144 if they guarantee it, and then that's already enough money to pretty much come close to making the deck.
Yeah. But again, that $18 price point is going to make them bulk as well. So.
Oh yeah, like I mean, I wouldn't even carry this in my store if it was $18 retail. I wouldn't even like carry it.
Next up, we have the Blueprint Playing Card Deck version 2.
Enrica.
So, I mean, I know like we've had some discussions as to the design of this deck. I like this deck, and we'll throw that out there. I like it.
I think this deck is beautiful. I love Enrique's previous deck, which was the Blueprint blue version, and version 2 is beautiful. I prefer the white one. It's gorgeous, But
that $28 price point kills me.
Yeah, it's she's done a lot to bring that price point down. I know she found another fulfillment company that gets it. I think it's like $4 off shipping, which is huge. It was $32 a deck, which is crazy. And $28 is better than $32, but at the same time, it's like if this deck was, $18, or it could be $18 with foil from Katamundi, and in my opinion, I think she'd make 25 grand on it. But that's obviously my opinion, and I think more people will back it.
It's nice. It's interesting to see too. They're using the same licorice press that the Hazard deck used. So still excited to get that deck to see what the actual handling looks like on this new company. Hopefully, it's a legit contender to the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think this is her first campaign though, where she mentioned the printer as well, which I think is good though.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think all the copy that's in there is really good. She has everything in there. I mean, my only problem is the fact that there's 3 campaigns out from her, and none of them have been fulfilled yet. That's my problem here. Like the other one, version 1 just finished like 2 weeks ago or something.
Let us take a look.
And this one just dropped. And I've talked to Enrica, and she seems like super sweet and amazing, but it's still something I would be very cautious about.
Yeah, especially in a community where people have been burned by this in the past. July 6th it funded.
That's when it funded. So it closed when?
No, it closed on the 6th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It was what, 2 weeks ago? Less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 13 days ago, so almost 2 weeks. And again, like,
What about the
it's
it? When
a
did the Pennywise deck close?
that closed. Let us go see. It's just a lot to have on your plate at a time where you're trying to create, and I get that, but like, yeah, fulfill them. Make people comfortable about the projects you've got out there. This funded May 25th. So in less than 2 months, this is the third campaign out.
And this hasn't even been fulfilled yet. Nobody's
Yeah.
gotten their Pennywise decks yet. So, you know, this is my only problem. You know, me personally, I would just be very cautious for myself. I don't know what the decks feel like, you know.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love her work. You know, I wish they were a little less. I think you know, that would definitely help out.
Yeah, and that's something that
for a small printer to be charging that much money is crazy.
Yeah. I think this will be a you and I had a little bit of a back and forth earlier on this deck, and I think the very familiar design. Like I don't know why this deck is
In existence.
Yeah.
How much is it? I mean, it's cheap, which is cool.
$14 shipped.
Yeah, I mean, it's cheap.
Local pickup only.
What?
I don't know. They have a local pickup option. So if you're in Phoenix, cool. You do 23 for 2 decks. Like, that's really not bad. U.S. playing card printed. Like, it's not a bad looking deck, but it's far from an original deck.
Yeah, it's just too close, and that's why it's probably struggling. What's that? Oh, that's a Gaff card.
No, that is the Jokers.
Jokers. Okay. That's the Gaff card.
Yeah.
What's the goal? And
the goal is 5,200, and it's just under 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, decks that are so similar to other decks, I feel are going to struggle a little bit, especially nowadays. I think there's a lot of decks that people are not backing due to they're just too familiar to other decks, you know?
I mean, honestly, too, the other decks that are out there that are similar to this are called honeycombs, or they're killer bees, you know? Like, I think if you like the theme of bees, like, that's fine, and I think this is a great foundation to build a unique deck that might hit that funding point. So hopefully, you know, again, 25 days left to go. This could fund. If it doesn't, though, I hope you take it back to the drawing board and really try and turn it into something that's still on point for the theme, but a little more unique compared to some of the other decks that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, the price point and everything else is spot on. It just needs a different, like.
Oh my god, yeah, that price point's phenomenal. Like,
yeah,
yeah, like you can't go wrong with that. But I think, you know, do the research, make sure that there's no other decks out there that are just that similar to your deck,
right?
Especially well-known decks, and go from there.
Yeah.
So,
who created it?
Mike Lissio. Which this is his.
Interesting.
So yeah, so he attempted it once before. Looks like not
January.
much is. Yeah, ended in January. Got very close to its goal as well.
74 back is basically the same exact thing.
Yeah, but took a much bigger hit here. So interesting, but yeah, I'm not sure what the problem is here, especially if he had 4,800 previously. Like, I think that's almost to his, like, that would have been put him very close to goal. So it's interesting to see that he wasn't able to kind of
wait.
bring
How
it
many
together.
did the other one? How many back does the other one have? 90?
74.
And this has half, and it doesn't even have.
Yeah. So it could have been that some got bought in a little bit. Who knows? We're not going to do the math there, but yeah, we could probably figure that out. But I think that's one of those things.
I don't care enough to do the math.
Yeah, no. But again, though, I think this is a solid foundation. I think it's a pretty good-looking deck, but this very similar design has been done before. Make it your own. Own it. If you really love bees that much and you really love honeycomb, like, there's so many ways you could make this cool. So, good luck. Let's see what we got next. The Talisman playing cards. I gotta say, I think this is a really simple deck, and I like that. I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this could definitely be like a daily deck for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like tally ho-ish.
Yeah. And it's got the arabesque like courts, which I love.
Yeah, they're really
Um,
cool. I dig the pips.
yeah, unique pip configuration, which I think is really neat as well.
Yeah, I dig it. That's the aces
And
are.
those aces, yeah, that's good looking. Oof.
How much are they?
That's $20 shipped. This would be an awesome $14-15 deck.
Offset printing with Pantone. So what's that mean?
Where do you see that? Oh, there you go. I do not know. Also, who's the printer on this?
Yeah, it doesn't say. Cello wrap with Talisman logo. Yeah, it doesn't say. Does it say down at the bottom? They have a blue version.
Yeah, I do not see.
Uh-oh.
I do not see a printer or fulfillment. So two things to consider there.
Go all the way to the top. Does it say next to the campaign? You know, sometimes it says it to the right, all the way. Right there to the right. No. Yeah, no.
Nothing there. Did we miss where it said?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Which honestly, though, I think like this deck has so much potential to it. I think the
Yeah,
price
I
point's
think,
just
I think it's a cool deck.
little-
It's expensive though. I mean,
Yeah,
but
I think if this was a
we keep seeing
14,
that time and time again. Like people are
Yeah.
just jacking up their prices on their decks, and you know they're gonna suffer from it. You know, I mean,
yeah,
some
Well, and I
decks
think-
are lucky and they get funded, but some
Yeah.
of them, you know, most of them don't.
yeah. And when you see Riffle Shuffle drop in and put out a $15 ship deck, like with all of the accoutrements, like you have to consider what a standard deck's gonna look like. Like I think there's a big push to raise the base price point on a standard deck plus shipping, and it's just not succeeding, which tells you that the market's not ready for it. That being said, if this was a $14 or $15 deck shipped to my door, this deck would be selling bricks.
Yeah.
Like it's a dope deck. It's got a nice vintage vibe to it. The back design is beautiful. I definitely would dig it more in a blue versus a red, but it looked like they had some blues in there, and I think that blue looks amazing.
Yeah.
That being said, yeah, the price point just hurts it a little bit. So I hope it does fund because I really do like the deck, but I think the price point and being a little more transparent about who's printing and who's fulfilling would also help the campaign as well.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the Mambala playing cards.
Mambala.
This thing's very low. Okay, very low goal. Explains the funding already. Looks like a fun deck, though.
How much is it? 15.
Oof. Yeah. $25 shipped. Dude, this is actually, it's like some nice art. I like it.
Yeah. The only problem is I don't know what the heck the back looks like. What's the back design?
It's in the corner right there on that king thing, but
Yeah, you
they're
can't
not
really see it though.
yeah, they're not doing a great job showing it off. Like it's all hid. Like why?
Can't really see it.
There you go. Let's just check
I
the
still
video.
can't see it.
Yeah.
So it's different? It changes?
Yeah, it looked like it might have been. Oh, it does.
That's a one-way back. That must be the other side.
Yeah.
Go down.
There we go. Yeah, it's a one-way back design. That's the black edition too, so that's not the standard edition.
That's a stretch, but so that's the color. I mean, that's the design.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking design. It's not necessarily my style, but it's not bad looking. Honestly, I like the artwork.
One-way
printed
back.
with, yep. Not sure who this printer is, but cool. AGR priority. agri priority. I don't know how you say it. Cool. Always nice to see new printers to the scene, or at least, printers we don't see that regularly in the scene. Not sure who's doing fulfillment on it either, but
What is
alright,
that?
so
We
it's
are
been,
using a professional fulfillment center right there. Who are you using though?
yeah, would be curious. Well, and I think, this is where you see some people who are creators in other spaces who come into the playing cards. A lot of these questions aren't necessarily, known from the jump.
I
It'd be
don't think a
dope.
lot of people know that it's important for us to know these things.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, it could impact how long it takes you to get a deck, what quality it comes in.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how these print though, coming from a printer in Spain. I think that's cool.
But dude,
Again, always love.
that $25 is early bird. How much is it not
Yeah,
early?
damn. It's only $1. It's $1 more. This is we've said this a lot too. Like, let's be very saving $1 from 19 to 18 is not early bird. Like, at that price point, I'm just gonna wait to see if it funds before I fund your campaign, because I'm not. Oh no, I'm saving $1. Like, it's not a motivator. You really got to give a little bit of a motivation on the early birds, because that's the purpose of it. You want to reward the people who are willing to take a risk early on by getting in on it.
Yeah.
Saving $1 on one deck is not that. It's not a good risk reward proposition there. So something to consider. That being said, I like the deck. I think it definitely has potential. Make sure to take pictures of the back design though, because it is tough to see.
Yeah.
Like, kind of there it is back there, but maybe it's in the first video. Sorry, I couldn't with that video. You didn't have to hear the sound, so. Yeah. Next up, we have the Infinite Rule Luxury playing cards. So this is actually a relaunch. Yeah, this is a relaunch. We're not even going to touch on it too much, and it was very close to meeting its goal when I think the funding round ended maybe 2 weeks ago. So I'm guessing that they just kind of relaunched because they were close and banked on the fact that people were going to jump back to it. I think when we looked at this the first time, I like the design. I think the artwork for the courts is fresh
cool
and fun. Yeah, I love the diamonds. I think this is a really well done deck. I love the pips, so I'm glad to see that they relaunched. Like I said, I think it's always exciting to see when someone steps back and says, "Okay, what can I do to get to where I couldn't before, and what caused me to fail on my funding the first time around." They're going to be fulfilling themselves, and they explain that they run their own shipping stuff, so makes sense. Yeah, I think I like this deck. I think it's a fun one, so it's worthwhile. And what do we have here? One deck. Again, $20 shipped. Metallic ink on it kind of justifies the price point a little bit better. Still, I'd like to see it 18, but that's fine. It's a good looking deck. So good luck to Andy on this one. And it looks like it already funded, so that's always exciting.
Cool.
Next.
Scroll up a little. There was like another deck in there, I think. The Gaff deck. What's that thing? Go up.
Oh yeah, it was legit just gaffs.
What's that? Let's check that out. We all like Gaff decks, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of decks this week, though.
But here's the thing, though. Like, where's it go up top? What's that say? Gaff what? Gaff limited edition Gaff. All right, so it is a deck as well.
Oh,
so you get the deck plus the Gaff, which is cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Already funded, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oof. I'll be honest though, that goal is super low for printing 1,000 decks with USPCC. They're gonna take a hit on that.
I mean, they probably already printed the deck, maybe, or they're gonna print it regardless. So
yeah,
getting that money to help towards it is probably good.
Yeah. No, these look fun.
I mean, if they're printing 2,500 decks or more, it's only $2.50 a deck. So
they said it's 1,000 run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that 2 decks as well? 2 different decks. There's an actual deck and the Gaff deck, right?
Oh, I don't know.
What does it say on the right? 1 + 1 decks. 1 set. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
26 gaffs. $25. So you're getting a
Two
deck
decks.
and a half, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Seems like a lot, though, for, again, the gold. But, listen, I think it's a cool-looking deck. I like the back design, too. It's relatively traditional, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Cool.
Right on.
All right, let's see what we got. What else we got here?
I think that's it.
No, we have like. I wish that was it, man. There's like 4 more decks.
How is there?
Yeah.
Uncovered man. Oh, the bear deck, right? It reminds me of the photographer's deck.
Yeah.
People love this stuff, man. It's like information deck.
Yeah, which that's cool. This is $17 ship, not bad.
Is it like for like bartenders?
No, there's playing cards on it. It actually has pips and indices.
Yeah, but is it
It's
for
like-
like bartenders to like not forget or something? Or
I think it just said for those people who love beer.
yeah. Man, why didn't I think of that for the photographer's deck? The dude made like $190,000.
So this is a cute little deck. Printed by USPCC.
I don't drink.
Yeah, but if you like beer, it's not bad. And that's the thing, though. Again, like, this is the perfect price point for a standard deck. Look how much effort and thought went into this deck. USPCC printed $17 to your door. Like, this is the exact argument why a $20 standard deck to your door is not feasible at this point, because the market isn't ready for it. I think there's...
I mean,
decks
the
like
market will never be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, this just... It's an interesting deck.
Too much money.
Not my style. Two-way back.
That's the back design?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Again, not really my style, but again, like, I think the campaign, for all intents and purposes, hit what they needed to hit.
Hey, good for them. You know,
Yeah.
they did it. Go for it. What else we got?
Oh, see, he's created other decks in the past, too, so he knows what he's doing here.
The font deck, the weed deck, the design deck. Interesting.
Damn,
yeah,
dude, yeah.
got it
And he's
down.
got
He got
some,
it
like,
down.
and he crushes some goals there, so good on him. Nice job, Ben Barrett Forrest. Next up, we have the Uncovered Mail playing cards.
Uncovered mail.
Oh, dope. Former USSR-born American author and an artist residing in Amsterdam. So I've seen this deck before on IG. I really like the back design. I think the purple.
Can't even tell.
So I think the purple's interesting.
Yeah.
Again, not necessarily my style deck, but I think it's well designed. The artwork is very nice, like quality-wise. The back design, though, I think it's cool. It's the actual, where was it just here? The Joker, or like what you see on the Ace of Spades, the two guys, like, kind of feet coming into each other. That's the back design throughout the whole thing in the center here. Not a bad-looking deck. What are we looking at price point? $17 shipped. Again, like... This is where, yeah, like, it's a solid, well-thought-out deck. If this is your jam, like, this is... Go for it.
Nothing. Are they showing stuff? I can't even tell. My screen's, like, blurry.
Now, nothing, like half junk. Yeah, like, ultimately... The back design, like, has such a good, like, vibe to it with the gold and the purple. Relatively standard pips and indices. And again, that $17 price point. I mean, good luck on the campaign for this one. I think if you can find the right market who's interested in this deck, it will do well, especially at that price point. So, next up we have the Timeline playing cards. So yeah, very. Also says demo deck. I'm curious why it says demo deck. Box is a theme. Relatively low goal. Awesome. Want to design a deck of cards for a while. I like playing card games with family. Awesome. Has a backstory to it. I'm not a fan of that Ace of Spades. It just seems a little like disjointed. But
Yeah. What's
colored
the price
version.
on this? I mean, it has.
Yeah, no information. $16 shipped. So with more information, this may have something, but it doesn't show the back design. Doesn't show any of the courts other than the aces. Doesn't really have much in the way of information.
There's your
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. So, all right. And
Can't offer
last
anything
up,
there.
all right. Next up, we have the Morgana Illuminations art playing cards printed by USPCC. So, art playing cards has done a lot of decks in the past. Most recently, I think they had their Leonardo deck, which came out not too long ago. They're really well known for obviously a lot of the detailed art, but also a lot of the add-ons they do with it. So, like they had like statues and deck holders last time, which I thought was interesting. This deck's actually it looks like a V2 to their Merlin deck. So very similar back design, just basically reverse the colors. So silver and gold versus silver and gold. You like the first one? I definitely think this is an interesting deck, and the price point's on point with what they usually pay. Again, I'd consider this a relatively standard deck because there's no embossing or foil or anything like that. $24 is a little bit high. This would probably be better still at that 18 price point, especially shipped. But they do know how to run a solid campaign. Obviously, this isn't their first one. I think this is a little bit interesting, but also a little bit crazy, and I don't know how many of these they're going to sell. 24 karat gold hand-gilded decks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
$300.
Yeah, $300. It's a really like clever idea, but like that's a lot of money, and I'm curious. It looks like they're doing it for the Merlin and the Morgana, which leads me to believe that they probably didn't do it previous campaigns. So I'm curious to see how well it actually goes. Yeah, that's crazy money for a relatively standard deck. Otherwise, like that's for bragging rights.
Just
only.
gild it.
Yeah.
Just gild it.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's anything that really like why is it got to be 24 karat gold? Like I don't care if I can. You're never gonna want to touch the deck. The second it starts to chip, that's crazy. But interesting idea. Yeah, like I said, art playing cards knows how to run their campaigns. I'm sure this will fund a 10-day campaign and $6,000 in. They're confident in their ability to fund on this. So,
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck to them. So, what decks would you fund this week, Steve?
Definitely the King Arthur. I'd fund maybe the Shiba deck. The Ape deck's kind of cool. The Blueprint deck's awesome. Obviously price point in all those are a little,
a little steep.
Steep, but that's about it for me.
Cool. So yeah, I think on my end, I'm probably in the same boat as you. Like King Arthur for sure. I like the Shiba deck. I'm really glad to see that back. I'd back that. I'll definitely back that one. Ape I like, but again, price point's just a little too high. And I like this Form deck. It's just definitely way too high on the price point there. Same with the Arabesque. Like I think there were some good decks this week. It's just they need to consider that whole price point thing. Like I'm not gonna pay $30 for a standard deck. I don't think a lot of people are willing to spend $30 on a relatively standard deck. And
I mean, it's hard for me to pay $20 for a standard deck these days. I feel there's way too many decks coming out, and you have to be competitive. Deck.
Absolutely, and I think really what it comes down to is you gotta read the market. Like, don't go on there and just be like, oh look, this deck's similar to mine. They're charging $20. Like, that's great. Did it fund? No. Well, probably because it cost $20. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in this week. I'd love to see some of these fund. If they don't, though, I hope they go back to the drawing board and figure out why and really run with it, because some dope decks. So, thanks everyone for tuning in to this week's Kickstarter recap. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We drop these videos every Monday, taking a look at the decks that funded in the previous week and any new decks to Kickstarter. Make sure to go in the comments and let us know which decks you plan on backing this week. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are, so drop any comments below. And if you're looking to design a new deck and you want some feedback, feel free to reach out to us either on the comments or on Instagram. Thanks so much, everybody, and enjoy your day.
Peace.